Hello, welcome to Dundrolls Podcast. I'm your host, Justin. Today we're reviewing the Astonishing Ant-Man. Everybody loves team-ups. Volume 1, even though this is not Volume 1 of Nick Spencer's run. That is Second Chance Man. Cool cover. So this book came out in 2016. It collects issues 1 through 4 of Astonishing Ant-Man, Ant-Man Last Days Issue 1, and Ant-Man Annual Issue 1 by Nick Spencer, art by Ramon Rosanas, Jordan Boyd, and Will Quintana, and Brent Schoonover. Alright, this is rated teen for Teen Plus. That's supposed to be a Golden Age superhero called Miss Patriot, who not exactly sure if that's a real Golden Age hero. Right. Oh, and cool thing about this book is that if you ever, there's a variant cover of Ant-Man Last Days by mangaka Kyuhei Ishida, who did Dorohedoro. If it wasn't for the fact that that issue sucked, I would be kind of interested in getting it. Because I'm a fan of Kyuhei Ishida. So boy, I'm going to keep this brief because this book was terrible. So this book is about Scott Lang, Ant-Man, who relocated to Florida, Miami, or whatever. No, it was I think it was San Francisco, Miami. I'm not 100% sure. Right, and he started off a business with some fellow ex-cons, a security business, and the ex-cons are what's his name? Oh my god, this gay robot hacker who's worked with supervillains like Red Skull and Baron von Strucker. I think his name was Cybersmith, and you got Grizzly, which is a guy in a bear suit. Right, and they're barely in the book, right? And yeah, so like what happens is like they start up security, uh, the security company. My dog's barking at me right now. In like half an hour, I'm taking her outside for a walk. So yeah, apparently at this point in the Marvel universe, it's kind of a reverse of the Avengers book we read last time, where this time it's Hank Pym that's dead and Janet Van Dyne who's alive. So like Scott Lang gets the news that that Hank Pym is dead, so he remembers the time where him and Hank Pym had a team up when he was Giant Man, and they went after the villain called Egghead, which very old villain, right? And he hires this Tech Busters guy, which is obviously supposed to be I forget the name of the company, but there was a company where you could hire like people to help you with tech stuff, right? And he brainwashes this guy to make his AI Avengers. Scott and Giant Man beat them up, and at the end, the Indian dude gets Giant Man's costume at the end of Last Days. So like yeah, you have villains like the Slug here, who's like a drug dealer named drug dealer, kind of like he's like a combination of Kingpin and Blob, right? So Ant-Man is hired to steal something from him from his boss, who used to be the Miss Patriot, right? Ant-Man is also banging this chick called Beetle, right? Which I think she's in this book as well, this other Nick Spencer book. We might review that. I don't know, this book was pretty bad, right? Did I mention the robot is gay? During a simulation, he has the robbers turn into male strippers. Oi, oi. Yeah, so like, well, Darren Cross is also in this book. If you've seen like the movie, you know who Darren Cross is, right? Who apparently had in like a previous book had stolen Cassie's heart, which Cassie is Scott Lang's daughter, who was Stature in Young Adventures. She lost her powers after Darren Cross stole her heart to get the pin particles. So like, there's a plot point where Power Broker is making this app called Hench, which allows people to rent out supervillains to attack superheroes, and they have an algorithm to like basically find out which supervillain that's nearby that would have the best shot at defeating your superhero, right? So that this was a test run where they said Whirlwind, which is one of Iron Man's foes, against Scott Lang, and Scott Lang gets his ass kicked, right? Right. So like, there's also another character called Magician, who was sent after to defeat Scott Lang by his ex-girlfriend called Darla Deering, who they were on the fake Fantastic Four for a while, right? Which I almost bought that book, right? So like, you had like She-Hulk and like Medusa covering for the Fantastic Four while they were away. Apparently, at some point, Ant-Man defeated Doctor Doom, which is very hard to believe, to be honest. You barely beat. You got your ass kicked by Whirlwind, and I'm supposed to believe you beat Doctor Doom, right? Yeah. Oh, there's also a team up with Sam Wilson, Captain America, with Ant-Man. Yeah. At some point, oh, by the way, Paul Scheer, celebrity Paul Scheer from How Did This Get Made podcast, and like, you know, comedy work, is in this comic book. He hires this right-wing supervillain called The Voice to bust up this basketball game that, like, you know, that Darla Deering was at with Cassie. Yeah, also the Indian guy who became the Giant Man, who's also gay, by the way, failed in his first outing as a superhero against somebody named Unicorn. So this book was bad. The art was awful. Everybody talks like soy-fed Twitter weirdo. There's a point where like Power Broker goes to Slug to get funding for Hench. Slug tells Power Broker, "Hey, I'm not gonna fund your company because there's like, you have competition called Lackey, which is basically Darren Cross's company, which apparently he's brothers with Crossfire, the Deadshot ripoff, and they started a company called Lackey, which is the same thing as Hench, right? And this pisses off what's his name so much that he blows up Slug's ship and tells him, consider yourself muted and blocked. As if, which they're talking about Twitter right there, right? Or that's at least what the writer is. Also, they break the fourth wall several times in this book, and they keep hinting that something happened that made Ant-Man go back to jail, even though they don't say what. Yeah, this book was fucking awful, man. Well, everybody talks, not everybody, but basically everybody talks like a Twitter weirdo. Ant-Man talks like a wimp and is like socially awkward. He comes off autistic at times. Like, if Jesus Christ, like, if you're going to, like, they obviously want people who watch the Ant-Man films to read these comics, right? Hence why they basically stole the design from the movies for the comic book. You should basically just be writing cool comics where Ant-Man goes on heists and shit, right? Which there was a really cool like heist story with Iron Man, right? In Iron Man's Fatal Frontier, which I reviewed. Check it out. This book was just fucking awful, man. And yeah, it was just awful. And it kind of, in hindsight, it makes like all the it makes like Hank Pym like and Janet look dumb in comparison, because there's like a scene where he fights a giant monster and he just shrinks the giant monster so he can capture it, and it's like, why the fuck didn't like Giant Man or Wops ever do that in the past when they were fighting giant monsters? Hank Pym would just turn into a giant and fight the monster mono to mono. So it makes like, if they could do that on like living things and shit, it makes like Hank Pym like and other like characters like this look dumb by comparison, right? And I get that's something like he could do in the new movie, so they incorporate it here. But it's like, to do that with living things as well makes like all the times that like Giant Man or Hank Pym had to fight giant monsters, not do that. It makes him look fucking retarded by comparison, man. Yeah, I did not like this book, and I'm giving it like a 4 out of 10. Thank God I only paid $4 for this. Fuck you, Nick Spencer. Oh, God damn it. Yeah, this was awful. And yeah, and it's the thing where it's like, Jesus Christ, the movies are now better than the comics, and it's like, and the movies are starting to suck now. So it's like, what the fuck are these retards who write at the comics going to do now? Whine on Twitter? Fuck, man, this was fucking awful. And because this was so awful, I need like a palate cleanser, so I'm going to review like a Geoff Johns book. So I'm either going to review Aquaman Volume 2, The Others by Geoff Johns, or I'm going to review a JSA book by Geoff Johns from the either late 90s or 2000s. Let me know in the comments. Actually, that's... yeah, let me know in the comments. Alright, guys, peace.